Hello and welcome everybody to BoxMaker University. My name is Katie Hart. I'm the Director of Marketing for the BoxMaker. Thank you all for joining us here today. We're excited to have Blue Byte with us, presenting on the topic of connected product packaging. Blue Byte builds value for brands and consumers by transforming products into two-way digital channels. For those of you who might not be familiar with the BoxMaker, we're a custom packaging manufacturer and distributor. We leverage technology and a deep understanding of our client businesses to deliver innovative custom packaging solutions that protect products, build brands, and empower our clients to differentiate themselves in the marketplace to gain a competitive advantage. We're a leading manufacturer of digitally printed corrugated boxes, retail displays, pressure-sensitive labels, as well as a custom fabricated foam converter and a distributor for many related packaging supplies. If anybody has any questions for our speakers during the class today, please feel free to pop those into the Q&A or the chat, and we will answer those at the end of the presentation. So at this time, I would like to welcome our Blue Byte speakers, Rachel Gray, who's the Connected Product Advisor, and Caitlin Ritter, Senior Account Manager. So without further ado, ladies, I will hand it off to you.
Thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate that. My name is Rachel Gray, as Katie mentioned. I am a Connected Product Advisor here at Blue Byte. We are a software company that's been in the connected packaging and product industry for the last 16 years. What I do for the company is I work with brands in order to define and execute their connected product and packaging strategies. Today, I have on the line with me Caitlin. I will let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Katie, and thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin. I am the Senior Account Manager here at Blue Byte. I am our main point of contact for a majority of our customers and train them on our platform so they have the tools and are equipped to build the consumer experiences that we're well known for.
Thanks, Caitlin. So today what we're going to be doing is tackling a major concern that comes up daily in conversations that I have with brands, and that is, how do I stand out on the shelves when my consumers are browsing in the store? And then afterwards, when they make that purchase, how do I keep that connection with my consumers? As Katie mentioned, there will be time afterwards in the presentation for questions. So feel free to take notes or keep those questions at the forefront of your mind, because we will be willing to answer them after the presentation is complete. So let's get right into things here today. So we really live in a world where we're constantly bombarded by information, whether it's on the cell phone, you're getting all of these messages on email, on text message, social media. It's not one, it's not two, it's not three, it's 5 platforms just bombarding you with messaging. And of course, right now, as a brand, it's harder more than ever to really get the attention of your consumers, and not only get it, but keep it as well, and make an authentic connection that really lasts. In addition to competing for attention with your consumers, there are other things that are severing this connection between brands and consumers. And these things are the call for transparency and sustainability that is industry wide, the D2C movement, and the rapid rise in counterfeiting and diversion. So, in the midst of all of this noise, where exactly is the opportunity? How can you, as a brand, really stand out on the shelves? And after your consumers make that purchase, how can you stand out to them and keep that connection? Of course, here at Blue Byte, we're all about connected packaging and products. So we see this as a major way for you to get in front of your consumers and have that one-on-one connection with them. Now, of course, we have data to back that up. We wouldn't just make these claims without data. We've done consumer insight studies that really have backed up this claim. And I want to draw your attention to some of these numbers here on the screen today. So, number one, 92% of your consumers today are aware of connected technology. They know that QR exists. They see it on a daily basis. I'm sure all of you have seen it. And 73% of these consumers have a high usage of QR. Every time they go into a restaurant, they're scanning a QR code, right? This is almost on a day-to-day basis that consumers are interacting with QR. And then another number I would like to draw your attention to is that 57%, over half of your consumers, are more likely to purchase a product if they have connected with the packaging. So the numbers are there. They say that consumers are using QR, they're aware of it, and they know how to interact with it. So, how exactly do we make it the most engaging for consumers once they interact? And just to let you know, we have a whole study prepared that we've done. So if you'd like access to the study, just feel free to email me and I'll get that to you. So what we're going to do today is first go through high level how I strategize with brands on best practices on how to engage your consumers in a connected packaging strategy, both pre-purchase and post-purchase. After we go through the high level strategy, then we're going to get into the nitty gritty of how exactly in the market today brands are executing on these strategies with consumers and getting great results. So let's start with pre-purchase. Now, each and every one of us, we're consumers, right? So when I think through this, something I like to do is put my consumer cap on, really think like I am a consumer of your brand. What exactly is going to engage me as a consumer? So I like to separate it into three parts. Step one is to first capture your consumer's attention. This can be with shelf talkers, it can be with cardboard stands, and of course, connected packaging. This is your time to stand out. Don't be afraid to stand out from your competition. This is your time to take a risk. Now, step two, it's really the time to deliver the right message at the right time to your consumers. Really think about what is it that sets you apart from the competition. If you were standing right next to your consumer and they were browsing in the store and you could tap them on the shoulder and talk to them and tell them why they should purchase your product, what exactly would you say? If you could condense that into a few words and put that into a connected product or packaging experience, how exactly would you deliver that? You want to do this in a clear and concise manner. And then step three, incentivize the purchase, right? This is the time when your consumer is really considering making that purchase. You know you have their attention. It's time to incentivize the purchase. With my consumer cap on again, I think through what exactly makes me buy, right? Is it understanding more about ingredients? Sometimes these ingredients have these large names, and I really want to understand more about what I'm using, what's going on my body, what's going in my body. So maybe having more insights into what exactly these ingredients are would make a difference. Another thing that you can consider is maybe reviews on the product, maybe thinking through how exactly other consumers are liking the product. This could influence my purchasing decision. Another thing is perhaps the price. If you offered a discount right then and there in the store, maybe that would drive more people to that cash register to actually make that purchase. So again, three things when really strategizing how to engage consumers pre-purchase. And that's number one, catch their attention. Number two, make sure you're delivering the right message at the right time. And number three, incentivize the purchase. Now that that consumer has your product in hand, made the purchase at the cash register, and now it's the opportunity to keep their attention post-purchase. How can we do that? How can we go about doing that? Again, I like to separate this into three parts. So step one, give them a reason for re-engagement. Your call to action is very, very important here. Telling your consumers why exactly they should continue to engage with you is very important. This is your time to make the message about your consumer. Make this extremely clear and concise. So the less words, the better. Secondly, Make it a user-friendly experience. The thing I hate most, more than ever, is when I scan a QR code and it goes straight to maybe the website. What value is that adding to me as a consumer? I could have typed that into my browser window and gotten the same thing. Give them what they're looking for. Give them a message that really um, makes it engaging and fun for the consumer. And don't overcomplicate the process. This can all happen in one click. And then the final step, always add value. So if you're asking your consumers for data, maybe you're asking them for their email address, you're asking them to engage, you ask them something, make sure to give them something in return. So engaging consumers post-purchase, 3 steps. Number 1, give them a reason for re-engagement. Number 2, make it a user-friendly experience. And number 3, be sure to add value. So now that we've gone through things at a very high level, let's get more granular and talk through how exactly companies and brands today are implementing these practices. So this first example is with Vita Coco, one of the brands that we regularly work with. And this is their approach to capturing their consumers' attention, both pre and post sale. So we'll first talk through their pre-sale approach. So what they wanted to do was really capture their consumers' attention in the store. And what they led with was a colorful in-store display and a message that really embodied the brand. So we dare you not to love it. Get your money back if you don't. That's very Vita Coco-esque. It sounds like Vita Coco's brand identity. So their main goal was to really promote a new line and incentivize the purchase in the store. So once you scanned this QR code, it did not go to a static browser window that was, just the Vita Coco website. What it did was it went to a dynamic Blue Byte powered experience. And if you have your cell phone, you can scan this right now and see what I'm talking about. So it went to a dynamic Blue Byte powered experience that actually used the money back guarantee as an invitation for your consumers to connect with the brand. The post-sale interaction was a different experience. So it wasn't like the pre-sale experience. It was a post-sale experience that added value to consumers. There was an option to trade up to a trial offer on another flavor, or also make good on the money back guarantee that was promised in the store. Now, Caitlin, I would love your input here. Can you please give us some insights into how exactly this experience was created and just a behind the scenes look on how you worked with the brand?
Absolutely. So Vita Coco themselves are a very fun, quirky and like cheeky type of brand. They love having puns in all of their marketing, and they like to be playful with a lot of their imagery and also just their executions. So as you see, the "we dare you not to love it" is getting the cheeky message right off the bat. But even if someone didn't end up liking what they had to offer in this new line, they still wanted the negative flow, which is what they called it, to be fun. So if you guys do have the experience open, you'll see the first one, the positive flow, the "agree, I'm obsessed." This brings you to a gamified experience that would allow you to select fruits that you like and the flavors of Vita Coco that they actually offer. And once you press next, you see a whole category of products and product lines that they have that would match your tastes. But the negative flow, if you weren't impressed, before you actually have to input your information to get your money back, they would do things like offer you a video of a puppy or to sing you a song or to bake you a cake. Things that would kind of just, make you chuckle a little bit before you get the money back for that bottle. So kept it very true with the brand. And because they were offering a coupon with this, even the positive flow saw around a 33% conversion rate.
Thank you so much for that, Caitlin. As she said, again, everything was very Vita Coco-esque and true to the brand identity. And that's one point that I forgot to mention when going through those tips and tricks in the beginning. Make sure this is very much in line with the brand identity that you've already, given your consumers and they've come to know and love. So in addition to this pre and post sale Vita Coco case study, I also want to talk about Vita Coco's goal to really capture data. So we've worked with them a lot throughout the years, and in addition to engaging their consumer, they wanted to make sure that they were capturing data from their consumer in these experiences. So based on where exactly the consumer was in the customer journey, they wanted to capture different data points from them. And so this really brings a main point and that I want to bring out, and that is that offering these dynamic experiences and not just redirecting to the website is essential in being able to understand in real time what exactly your consumer's behavior is. So key points of data capture that Vita Coco was really looking for and interested in gathering were: number one, how many consumers are activating the experience? Number two, how many consumers are making additional purchases? And number three, how many choose a different product? Now, Caitlin, can you give us some insight into maybe like the results and how exactly Vita Coco's performance has been throughout the years?
Yeah, absolutely. So this specific experience that you're seeing now is only available on an insert that's inside 18 packs at big box stores. So that's something like a Costco or a Sam's Club or a BJ's. It's notoriously hard to get those companies to also agree when you're changing their packaging. So for a shorter turnaround time, they wanted an avenue for the consumers to directly feed back to them. So they put this insert within the pack so the store doesn't have to approve what they're actually putting on the box because it's inside the pack. And then the consumer, when they get home, they open it and have another touch point, another return of engagement. So with this, it's a very low lift from the brand. They're offering a sweepstakes. They pick one person a month to give a free case of Vita Coco to. So very low lift and low cost for the company, but still gives the consumer something they're already going to go and buy. This saw a 47% conversion rate and has stayed steady since 2018. It's always been above 40% of all the interactions. So it's a really, really good use of education, evergreen marketing, and just using the content that you already have that you want to get out there to new eyeballs that maybe wouldn't have seen it before.
Thanks, Caitlin. Our third case study that I want to go through today is with Pernod Ricard. They wanted to go one step further in engaging their consumers. So instead of simply just slapping a QR code on all of their packaging and signage, they really worked with us to create a strategy to go beyond the label in telling their brand story. It's notorious in wine and spirits packaging that the label is this limited real estate, right? There's not much of an opportunity for brands to tell their brand story, really capture the consumer's attention and then draw them into the brand. So they used connected packaging as a way to capture the consumer's attention and draw them into the brand. So with this Blue Byte powered connected experience that feel free to scan this here today. It gives a 360 tour of the ranch. And in addition to that, there are personalized recipes that go along with the SKU that you're interacting with. So if you're interacting with the red wine blend, you're getting a personalized recipe that relates to that. If you are interacting with the Cabernet, you're getting personalized recipes that relates to that wine as well. In addition, there is an opportunity to give feedback and other points of interest to consumers. We've had great performance on this one as well. Caitlin, can you share some information about how exactly Jack London was, in addition to engaging consumers, able to drive conversions and also gather data?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the screenshot, you'll see right at the bottom, there's a 5-star rating. They had two ways that you could actually offer feedback. And the first one was just simply pressing 1 through 5 stars. That would immediately post to their CRM and they would get feedback on what anyone was going to be rating that particular SKU or that particular blend. But they also had an open input. And with that, they had an optional field for the email. So it was for lead capture, but that wasn't necessarily a gatekeeper for them to get some consumer feedback. So if you did add your email, you are added to the marketing list, but that wasn't necessarily always required. And I think that that was one thing that they kind of took away from being required on the form that made that infinitely more successful. So we would say like 1 in 5 of the scans get at least one of the feedback, either with the open input or the rating. And that's also when it's all the way on the bottom, you do have to scroll through the page to get there. So I think that that's pretty good. But overall, the time on page for this experience is what sets it apart. So they have a lot of interactive content. They have the video that you can watch. It's an interview with the winemaker. They have recipes that you can follow along that are well paired with the wine that you're drinking. And that gave this consumer or this brand an average of over 10 minutes on page as the average page time. So the more content you have that people can opt into and not force it on them, that will give consumers, reason to stay and repurchase in the future.
Thank you so much for mentioning that time on page. I think it's very important because, this is again a testament to you having that one-to-one connection with consumers. You have their attention, and that is for, a 10-minute period. So it's a time to really get the right message to them at that time. Now, our next case study is with Funny Frisch. They're a German chips brand. And what they were interested in doing is doing some cross brand promotions. And so they were coming out with some new flavors and they wanted to use gamification within our platform in order to engage their consumers and get them to try new flavors. So, how this worked was once you tapped each brand or each bag rather, you would reach a new level. So you tap salsa and lime, you reach level 1. You tap beef burger, you reach level 2, and so forth. Once you got to level 3, you were entered to win a special prize. So of course, this provided an incentive to try all of these different flavors. In addition to this gamification, there was also elements of storytelling, understanding where exactly the potato was coming from that made these chips. There was also the opportunity to give feedback. And all of this was done with contextuality at the SKU level. And I want Caitlin to definitely go into more about how contextuality works on our platform and how exactly her and her team were able to create this gamification for Funny Frisch.
So for this experience, it's following the same template or the same format. So we discussed with the brand how they wanted the page to look and what kind of content they would like to show. And then we kind of show and hid content based on which QR code they were scanning. So as Rachel was saying, there's 3 different SKUs in this line. The Flame Kuchen, the one in the middle, we'll just call this pizza because I'm not going to pretend I can pronounce German correctly. So they had a beef burger one, a pizza one, and salsa and lime. And then the contextuality that would show or hide is when I'm scanning the salsa and lime one, I get to see a video of the restaurants that they paired with to develop that flavor. When I'm scanning the Flame Kuchen, the pizza one, I get to see an interview with the chefs at the other restaurant. And that was really important because the sweepstakes that they offered was whichever one was the most popular based on the feedback in the experiences, you could actually enter to have dinner at one of the restaurants. So it kind of circled everything together, tied everything together. But it followed the same page layout, so we didn't have to have, multiple development sprints to have these consumer experiences executed. We just kind of found a framework that worked and plugged in the content that was most relevant from when they were scanning.
Awesome. Thank you for adding that insight, Caitlin. Now I'd like to move on to Tatcha. Tatcha is one of my favorite brands, and that is simply because they really prioritize their consumer experience, right? And so it made so much sense for them to work with us on a connected product and packaging strategy. And what they wanted to do was really vary experiences based on where the consumer was. So whether they were in store or at home, very much like Vita Coco. So in the store, again, we're selling a personalized product here. Skincare, it's very personalized experience. So in the store, I want to know more about the product description and the details and the ingredients. So the in-store experience provides that for consumers. Also giving information about the brand and the brand story. In addition to this, in the store, there was a specific branded experience based on what store you were in. So if you were in a specific Sephora in Nashville, you were getting a branded experience that was um, specific to that Sephora. That was done with geolocation. I'll have Caitlin talk a little bit about that. But at home, there was also a different experience, not the pre-sale experience. So at home, there was the opportunity to quickly reorder the product or look at how to use the product. And there was also intelligent product suggestions that were also offered up. Something I was also liking about their at home experience is the opportunity to have a skincare consultation with a Tatcha specialist as well. Caitlin, can you share how exactly you worked with location to deliver the right message at the right time to consumers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did two different strategies. There were QR codes on the outside box of the packaging, and then there was a QR code that was actually inside on the product container. The one that we used location the most was the one that was on the product box. So as Rachel was saying, they're sold in other retailers like Sephora, sometimes Ulta, depending on your location around the US. But we took the IP address when the consumer was scanning that one on the box. And if it was 0.1 mile radius around all of the Sephoras or stores that we know that Tatcha was selling in, then we would show the co-branded experience. If it was away from that, then we would consider them to be outside of the store or at home, and we would show them just the Tatcha branded experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that, Caitlin. So here at Blue Byte, now that you've seen our case studies, what again we focus on is connected packaging and product experiences. We really see this as a way for you to capture your consumers' attention in the midst of all of the noise and the competition for attention and get in front of them with the right message at the right time. For the last 16 years, what we've been doing is developing our expertise on this subject matter, and we have a team of experts that supports you through this process. In addition to that, we have a full service platform that helps you with making these experiences and also managing them, right? You have all of these experiences in different places. It's really good to have a central location where you can manage them. And then finally, also having the opportunity to measure how it's performing in the market, right? What are the results that you're seeing? Are you seeing engagement? Where are you seeing the engagement? And using this data to inform how you will go about transforming the connected packaging strategy moving forward. In addition to that, this can also affect some of your additional marketing efforts that you are doing as well as connected packaging. So some of the tools that we use in our platform in order to really deliver the right message at the right time to consumers is publicly accessible data on the user device. So things like location, things like where the consumer is in their customer journey, how many times they've scanned the products, whether or not they're enrolled in your loyalty program. We take all this data and we combine it with the connecting technology data. We put that up in the Blue Byte brain. Maybe you have some pre-existing data that you have on a CRM. We combine all of that, and then the Blue Byte brain and our IP is that we really spit out the right message at the right time to consumers. So if they're in the store, they're getting the right message at the right time. If they're at home, they're getting the right message at the right time. How this relates to the case studies we've gone through today is with Vita Coco's example. Whether that consumer was in the store, they needed another message than when they were at home. With Pernod Ricard, we were taking information from the product SKU, right? Whether the consumer was interacting with the Cabernet or perhaps they were interacting with the red blend. Let's give them some different information based on what they're interacting with. with InterSnack's example, we used how many times the consumer was engaging with the product in order to deliver the right message to consumer. And then finally, with Tatcha, it was based on location, as Caitlin eloquently explained as well. So to get more information about our platform and to get a deeper dive into what exactly we do here at Blue Byte, feel free to contact me and I'll tell you some more about it. But now is the time where we have the opportunity to answer any of the questions that you might have.
That was awesome. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Caitlin, so much for all of that awesome information. I've learned a lot about a lot of the different connected packaging platforms over the past several years, and something that really makes Blue Byte different is the control that the brand has over the experiences that they're able to build, as well as the support that your team gives. But I was wondering if you guys could tell us just a little bit more about the actual platform and what it's like. Like if a brand wants to get started with this, how easy is it?
Caitlin, I'll let you take the lead on that one.
Perfect. So for a typical turnaround time from the start to finish for an experience build, we usually quote around 8 weeks. The first 2 weeks, it's usually strategizing and brainstorming what we want to get back. So what kind of information we want to capture from the consumers, and then also where do we want to focus on developing assets? Do we want to utilize all of the content that we already have available and kind of visualize it in a new way, etc. So it's all going to be planning for the first 2 weeks. Then for about the next 2 to 3 weeks, we do a couple passes of mockups and UI, UX wireframes to make sure that we're on the right path. If we do get the approval from the brand, then we go forward with implementation. This is definitely the longest of the portion, so sometimes it does take up to a month. But within that timeline, we have constant communication and usually weekly stand-ups with the brand team, just to make sure that everything's going as expected. And then once that's all set based on design and functionality, we hook it into the CRMs or any other third-party integrations that we need to. Add Google Analytics and make sure that the data is flowing. And then that brings us to the 8th week, which we would say is launched on our side. And whenever it's put live and on the shelves is when we actually can start collecting the data.
And to add to Caitlin's answer, this is a much shorter process than if you were to go out and create maybe a different landing page for every single scenario here. Because what we're doing is really using the Blue Byte capabilities and the platform in order to vary the experience that consumers are seeing, rather than going and building a new landing page from scratch each time.
Awesome. Thank you guys again for the presentation. We really enjoyed it. Thank you for being a part of BoxMaker University. And thank you to all of our attendees who are here with us today. Please do visit us at boxmaker.com. You can check out our university section for a bunch of on-demand webinars just like this, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, everyone.